Hello again, and welcome back to New Eyes Open. I'm showing up here another day for me and showing up for you, encouraging you to show up for yourself, whatever that looks like in this season of life. And these videos are a reminder that it does not have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. And simply by showing up, you are building up the reps needed for your body and your nervous system to get used to showing up so that when you really are ready and you do have that message to share, it just flows out easily versus this being something that, constricts you from or keeps you from sharing the message. And so I thought it would be appropriate on this third day of consistently showing up, on this third day of the third week of showing up consistently, to talk about the last 3 years and what has been behind the scenes of me actually being able to sit down and make the decision that I am going to push record and follow through with it and not do 100 different retakes, which I am going to be fully transparent and tell you that today, of all days, the day I was going to talk about that particular point of not doing a bunch of retakes, this is my fifth take. And I only got like a couple seconds in, but each time there was, I thought somebody was at the door, and then there was a couple of different things that happened today. So today you are getting the fifth take of the video instead of honestly every other day. It's been, except for I think the one where I was outside, it's been just one take, hit record, and power through it, even if I lose my train of thought or, fumble my words or whatever. So, on this third day of the third week of showing up, I'm going to talk about 3 years prior that I tried to show up and, by the world standard, failed. I tried to show up and just, my throat would be really constricted. I would have to do 30 different retakes just to get the video started until finally I decided, you know what? There's obviously some resistance here, which wherever the resistance is, often that is where your greatest opportunity lies. And so I thought by forcing my way into doing it, that would ease the resistance. Well, come to find out, that did not work. And so what I eventually have realized, and it was a very roundabout process, which you will come to find out is very much the way of things for me over the last, this is what I've been evolving into, a very roundabout kind of process and storytelling method, is that that resistance, there was a big energetic block. I really did feel like there was just a wall. Every time I would try to hit record, something would, just constrict in my body. And the source of that was really, when I thought about it, so many years of forcing myself to be okay and to act in situations where I really was not okay. My nervous system was not okay. I did not feel safe. Being in this constant survival state. And so you're always like bracing for impact. And my nervous system was relating showing up on camera and to promote my business and just, to share what I'd been through as something that, was a threat to me. And so really the last 3 years, when after trying to show up and having that happen, I took a big step back and I was like, okay, we are going to work on this from the inside out, which interestingly enough, now that I am showing up, it's very much the way I'm going about developing and building this channel. It's very much from the inside out or backwards according to what all the gurus say you should do, all the YouTube bros, and anybody who, which I have been in those businesses myself, anybody who coaches on content strategy, coaches have your strategy first and then start creating the content. And I just knew after trying and trying to do it that way and meeting this resistance, what my system, what my nervous system needed these past 3 years was to take a break, to step away from the camera, to not force myself to do things, to do the inner work. And then when I was ready to step in front of the camera, kind of approach it the same way. Show up, allow myself to just be here, not really have a direction or a purpose per se, a strategy, a content strategy. And that's where we're at right now. So, the past 3 years, some of the things I have done, gosh, name several of them. I have spent way more time in nature, allowing myself to be okay with just being. My really my entire system. I'll start talking a little bit more in later videos about this whole thing that happened, of needing to just be for a while, and recognizing this extreme amount of burnout that I had from every area of my life, career, family, just personhood, really like trying, burnt out on striving to be perfect, or not perfect, but what I thought everybody else wanted me to be in each of those areas of my life, versus really allowing myself to go deep within and remember who I was, who I am, and who I wanted to evolve into, who I was aspiring to be in each area of my life. And so these past 3 years have really been dedicated to doing that deep work, seeing myself from a different light, actually remembering the me that, you know, as a little girl, what brought me joy, the things about being a mother that I absolutely love. And I spent a lot of the past 3 years really diving into and allowing myself to fully immerse back into my role as a mother, because that is my, for me, that is, other than being just myself for myself's sake, being a mother is my highest calling. And then there's this other calling beyond that, right? The calling to speak, to teach, to lead, and I'm not yet sure what that looks like. In other seasons of my life, that's looked like being a public school teacher. As a mother, it's looked like leading my own children. As a family member and community member, it's been being the listener, the one who listens and takes things in. And in my career, oftentimes it was being the one who either was teaching, or it was really teaching not from a explain things in a simplified way type of teaching, like your traditional sense of teaching. It was more seeing a different perspective and sharing that different perspective with others. And that is very much still aligned with what I do today, whether it's in business, seeing overall in a business and sharing that different perspective that I see from the outside looking in, or from the inside looking all around at the global aspect of the business, to just being a friend and listening and hearing, and if asked, sharing that nuanced perspective, or the different pattern or perspective that I see at play with what the friend is sharing in the situations described, um, which that's been a learning curve myself, learning to wait until somebody asks for feedback instead of just offering it thinking I'm doing them a service. You know, can't you see that you're pushing away all these people who emotionally really need you to see them? They just need you to see them. Anyways, so for the past 3 years, getting out into nature more, getting back to being me, the true me, and the me I want to be, diving into motherhood and allowing myself to just enjoy that and work through some of these limiting beliefs that I had picked up along the way from the world about mothers and women and our role in the world and what we can do and can't do, should do, shouldn't do, all of this, what a mother's role should be. And yeah, that's been behind all this, and some tools that I've used. So just some practical application for you guys. EFT tapping. So just tapping the different meridian points and energy points as I speak to myself in the way that I would have, in a way that would have been nourishing for me throughout my adolescence and adulthood, whereas I really was had a much more critical voice, inner dialogue going on this whole time. And so there's a lot of kindness that I've needed to show myself. So EFT tapping, if you look on YouTube, there's various prompts for that, different scenarios that you could go through. But essentially, it's a way to just work through some of these deeper emotionally charged energetics that you still have stuck in your system that need to be worked out. Another way to do that is go on walks or runs. The bilateral movement really helps a whole lot. I've mentioned this before, but I started my human design experiment back in 2020. And so just learning about how energetically I was designed. And really, I dived deep into that and then have come out on the other side of having an appreciation for it, but more so as a tool and not as something that I see as black and white, a black and white, system, this is how you were made kind of thing anymore. And because of diving into human design, I also, that led me to studying the gene keys, which developed from the human design system. And gene keys, I absolutely love. I love the poetic nature of it. I love, I just, I love the way, I really like Richard Rudd, the man who, you know, technically the creator of the gene keys, but really the person who was the inspired version of the gene keys flowed through. I like his energy. I respect him as a leader. He's very humble. He's not this, up on the mountaintop guru type, and I like that. I've also dived deep into, I was brought up with biblical teachings, and I have dived further into that and into the historical person of Jesus or Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and just really that's another topic. That's another thing that I look forward to exploring more, but just allowing myself to be open to these different tools and teachings and not feel like I needed to know things. like learning how to be okay with the mystery. That's been a big thing. And lately I've been doing something else that I'll talk about a little bit more later because it's been very powerful, but not quite ready to share about that yet. And yeah, so just the last 3 years, lots and lots and lots of calming my nervous system down, allowing it to work out what needs to be worked out, be when things just need to be, and be okay with not rushing or forcing or striving, um, and being in nature naturally just as often as possible. All of that. Learning to speak to myself more kindly, um, and ultimately, after all of that, remembering who I am and who I want to evolve into, making the decision that, okay, that person, the person who is going to show up on camera every day and have, or at any time, and have a message to share, is going to be comfortable showing up on camera. So what do I have to do to be comfortable showing up on camera? Well, I should probably start showing up on camera and just getting used to it, whether I have a message to share yet or not. So that is where we're at today. Thank you for joining me. And whatever you are being called to be or do or show up as or for in this season of your life, lean into it. And just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to share it with the world unless that's what you're being called to do, like I am. Yeah. If any of this resonates, if you want to share what you're being called to and have some vision keepers hold that vision with you, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I would love to hear any feedback you have, especially if there's anything else you would like me to speak about. I'm always open to ideas. It does get a little nerve-wracking every day sitting down and pushing that record button and not really knowing until I hit record what direction this is going to go in. So I covet your feedback and your thoughts, and ideas. And also your likes and shares and subscribes and all the YouTube things, as you know, because that helps other people get notified that this exists. And yeah, that way more of us can support one another in showing up for each other, however we're called to do that right now. All right, until next time, my friend, I hope you are well, and I will see you tomorrow.